2.5 years ago, I was sitting in my car outside of the office before work and wondering if I needed any sort of medical attention. My head was pounding, my hand was shaking, and my heartbeat was coming a little too fast. I sat there wondering, what is happening to me? But then I thought about it. I had been hustling hard for months, waking up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym, coming back to write content for myself and my ghostwriting clients at that time. And then from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., I would push through the workday, giving every ounce of energy I had to do the best possible job that I could. And most of the time, I was off 5, maybe 6 hours of sleep. And my body finally said enough is enough. That morning, as I sat in the car before heading into the office, that was a warning shot for my nervous system. It was essentially saying, you've pushed us way too far without proper rest. But here's what I've noticed. We brag about being busy and wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But then we feel so tired at the end of the day, so we scroll through highlight reels of other people's lives. Meanwhile, our own life passes by in a blur of notifications and to-do lists. And we wonder why we're anxious, alone, depressed, why we have low energy, why we struggle to sleep. This is our modern reality. Results from a 2024 study show that 12.1% of adults report feeling nervousness, worry, or anxiety on a regular basis. But honestly, I think that number is low. The more people I speak to, the more people I see, the more I realize that everybody is anxious, everybody's overwhelmed and stressed out to some degree. In fact, the modern world is engineered in a way that wants your attention fragmented, wants you feeling anxious and overwhelmed and stressed out and always on the go. So how can we avoid this? How can we overcome the stress and the overwhelm and the anxiety when the world around us is set up in that manner? From my experience of living through this firsthand, I can tell you there are a million different answers. But what's worked for me and what I see working for many other people as well is living the slow lifestyle. So in this video, I'll be discussing what this slow life is, how you can adopt certain aspects of it into your life, and how this will benefit you moving forward as you go about your everyday challenges. But first, let's get real about something. We've normalized being overwhelmed. Productivity is prioritized. Hustling harder is praised. Showing up early, staying late gets you a pat on the back and maybe a raise at your job. Being chronically on the go makes you seem like a productive and healthy member within society. But the thing is, most people, when you look around, are not healthy. As I mentioned, along with being overwhelmed and stressed and anxious, we're dealing with obesity issues. We're dealing with cardiovascular issues. And because most of society praises this go, go, go hustle culture, it's actually making the health of people worldwide way worse. Well, I'm all for putting in the hard work, doing what you gotta do to make more money or achieve more status or live a more fulfilling lifestyle. There is a threshold. There is such a thing as pushing too far in ways that are actually destructive for your overall well-being. Is it not enough to be busy? So are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about? An even bigger question is, when did this start? When did people start prioritizing productivity and the importance of hustling harder in everyday situations? When did this psychological stress spread to everybody in the Western world? It was the industrial age. Back in the 1700s, 1800s, these big businessmen, they started building factories. And they filled these factories up with certain machinery and a bunch of people performing certain tasks at a given time. Their goal was to produce more, to make more money in less time. But this was a big shock to people because before this time, labor itself had natural limitations. Limitations such as the sunlight they had in a day. Limitations such as the weather and the seasons within the year. Limitations such as the supplies they had to produce whatever it is they were trying to produce. Sure, people worked hard. I'm not denying that. But back then, before the industrial age, they would do the work, whatever they needed to do to survive, and then that's it. They'd end their day, go spend time with family, maybe have a big dinner, maybe they'd spend time doing community events, maybe they'd go to church, they'd have some hobbies, and there was a hard disconnect between what they did to survive for their work and their leisure time. When their tasks were done for work, they prioritized deep rest because they knew that leisure was very important. And if they were going to do the work they needed to do in order to survive, then they needed to properly rest. But now with advancements in technology and the building of the factories in the industrial age, things changed very quickly. Work shifted from fields or homes to factories. The factory clock replaced natural rhythms. Industrialists and factory owners realized that with our factories and with the advancement in technology, we can get people working from this hour to this hour, and then more people working from this hour to this hour, producing whatever that good is in higher quantities. The quality of it didn't matter. It was just getting more of it out there so they could make more money. And so people's perception of the workplace completely shifted. There were fewer artisans, there were fewer farmers, there were few craftsmen. Those were the very valuable skills, these sought after skills that were deeply meaningful to people. And now it was all replaced by this industrialist, repetitive, monotonous work. And to keep people compliant with the idea of showing up to a factory and working for a set amount of time on whatever this random task was, productivity was moralized. It was incentivized. How hard you worked became a measure of your character as a person, which influenced your social standing with other people. Rest became something you had to earn and not a fundamental human right. And even to this day, that perspective, that way of thinking is deeply ingrained into the minds of many people. And as I mentioned before, while there can be some benefit in that, it's ultimately destructive if we're not properly resting. Because without that proper rest, without that recovery, we get stressed out, we get anxious, we get overwhelmed. And if you look around, this seems to be happening everywhere. And these days, things are very different from how they were even in the 1930s and 1940s. Our digital age has blurred the boundaries between our work life and personal life. Metrics of output have largely replaced meaning, and rest triggers guilt. The factory clock has become so deeply ingrained within our minds, and this is one of the biggest reasons why we're so stressed. All right, so now that you understand why we think the way we think in terms of work and how this is creating stress and anxiety and overwhelm in many people, all in the Western world, let's discuss the slow life. So the first aspect of this slow life I've been talking about is taking micro detoxes. Micro detox is a small period of time where you just step away from the modern day technology, where you step away from your work, where you step away from the people who will stress you out or cause anxiety and overwhelm. This could be anywhere from 4 hours to 4 days. Something I would do in the past with my old job is I would take off the Friday and I would take off the Monday. So I would have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off completely. I would go up to the mountains in New Hampshire and I would just hike. I would have no cell service, no internet. There would be no people around me. I wouldn't be thinking about work or anything like that. And it was perfect. Those 4 days were just enough for me to step away from the noise, gain clarity within my mind, and decompress. Now, of course, you don't need to go to the mountains. You can go anywhere, you can do anything. But I found that these micro detoxes are way more effective if I'm away from technology and fully immersed in nature. That's just what works for me. Another aspect with micro detoxes is doing it often. I'm not saying every weekend you gotta do it, but at least once a month. This keeps your energy high, this reduces your stress and your overall anxiety because you know that within a few weeks, you'll be going out to do whatever that micro detox activity is. So the second way you can experience the slow life is by gamifying mental development. Now you might be wondering, what do you mean by mental development? Think of it this way. These days, many people really struggle with focus and concentration. And our attention spans are way shorter. Along with this, many of us struggle spending time all by ourselves and just embracing the silence. We feel this itch, this little sense of wanting to do something. We just grab our phone and we scroll. The problem with this is that you're giving into your compulsions. And there's actually beauty and benefit in embracing the boredom within your everyday life. When you embrace the boredom and the silence and the stillness and you just observe what's happening within your mind, you can gain a lot of mental clarity. And with mental clarity comes a bigger attention span, the ability to focus on important tasks and concentrate when it really matters, and you just feel more present in your everyday life. Now, I would be lying to you if I said that embracing stillness and boredom and developing your attention and focus skills is more enjoyable than scrolling on your phone. Because obviously scrolling through social media, through a curated feed that's specific to all the things you like, that's really enjoyable. It's cool, it's novel, it's unique. But when you gamify the process of mental development, when you set yourself challenges and see how far you can go with developing your focus and your attention and your memory skills, it's much more enjoyable. Because we humans, we love games. We love things that push us beyond the boundaries of our comfort zone. That's exciting to us. It's thrilling. And what you soon realize is that when you can gamify your mental development and you do develop these skills such as your attention, your focus, your memory, you're able to do so much more fulfilling things within your day-to-day life. When your days are filled with doing things that are enjoyable and fulfilling, then naturally your stress and your anxiety and your overwhelm deflates. It's not as big of a deal when you face a certain circumstance. It's not always lingering in the background because you know that, okay, well, if I'm facing this stressor right now, if I'm dealing with this person who's annoying me and they're overwhelming me, that's okay because pretty soon I'll be out of the situation. I can spend my time with my new attention and concentration abilities doing things that are meaningful to me. That's a game changer. The third and final piece of advice I have is picking up a light physical activity. So for me, I love gardening. I love cooking. Occasionally, I will paint and I will draw as well. When you're doing these things, you're fully immersed. You are locked in. You're being very attentive of what it is you're doing. And along with this, none of those activities are very straining on the mind or the body. You can do them without exerting so much energy. And this is such a powerful thing because it develops your mindfulness. And as you're doing whatever that task is, you're not thinking about all the other stuff that might stress you out. You're not getting overwhelmed. You're not anxious. You just got to find out whatever that light physical activity is. Look, I understand you have responsibilities. You have places you got to be. You have people you have to see. You have bills to pay. You have deadlines to hit. I get it. I have all those things too. But you have a lot more control over your stress and your overwhelm and your anxiety than you might think. And when you're somebody who embraces these aspects of the slow life, then you'll very quickly see how much it changes your ability to deal with stress and to deal with potentially anxiety-provoking situations. And eventually, other people will take notice. And they'll say, what do you do? How are you keeping a calm head when dealing with this problem? And you can tell them, hey, I've embraced the slow life. Move quickly when you need to. But whenever you're not, you're going to take a step back. Embrace the moment and take things one step at a time. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. And if you're an entrepreneur, a salesperson, or just a busy and stressed out professional working a high demand job, then it's likely you're dealing with a lot of stress and overwhelm in your everyday life. And if you'd like help reducing that stress and developing the skills and the tools and the knowledge you need to collapse that stress whenever you feel it coming on, then check out the link below to work with me one-on-one. Once again, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.